Ugh. Whatever. Whatever. I'm going to stop being annoyed. We're going to move on to blue. Blue usually is like my least favorite color as well. Because I like the weenies. I like white weenies. I don't really care for white control, but I like white weenies. And then I love green. And generally, I like red because I like green red. So big, dumb, punch people in the face stuff I like. Black, I kind of... There's almost always something sick in black, right? Black just has some of the coolest stuff almost all the time. But blue kind of is just... Especially in limited, blue kind of just doesn't do anything. It wants to touch its own cards and doesn't really give a shit about anyone else's. And that doesn't really work in limited because you're just going to get your ass beat. So, yeah. We have a null. I think we've seen this before. I think a null's a reprint. So, cool, a null's back. Atomic Microsizer is a 1-mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, choose up to one target creature. That creature can't be blocked this turn and has... Wait. Whenever equipped creature attacks, choose up to one target creature. That creature can't be blocked this turn and has base power and toughness base power and toughness 1/1 until end of turn. So you have a 2/1 that can never be blocked as long as this is equipped to something and it targets itself. I mean, weird, but yeah, I guess at least blue's throwing a little bit of hands. Tiny little hands blue's throwing at people. Sure. I mean, I'll take it. Anything that makes blue throw hands, I'll take. Cerebral Download. 5 mana, Surveil X, where X is the number of artifacts you control, then draw 3 cards. Sure. It's instant speed, and maybe it's good. I don't know. Depends on how many artifacts you're doing. Maybe blue does the artifacts. They usually like doing artifact things, so maybe this is cracked as hell, but I don't know. I would say very meh, especially in limited, like, probably meh, but... Cloud Sculpt Technician is a 3-mana 1/4 flyer, and as long as you control an artifact, it's a 2/4 flyer. Sure, it's got flying, maybe that's something, and it's got a fat ass so it can block, but like... Codecracker Hound is a 3-mana 2/1. God, blue, you've got to get yourself some better creatures. When this creature enters, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard, and you can warp it for 3. Actually, this isn't the worst, right? Because it's play this, look at the top 2 cards, get 1, bin 1. Like, it's sort of like a draw spell staple to a creature, but it's better than just like draw 1. I think this is actually better than I was thinking. I wanted to hate on it. Also, how many legs has this boy got? He's got 2 front paws, and then he's got what, 1, 2. I got to count them. Give me a second. Front paws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And are those toes going around the back? Has he got 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think he's got 12 legs and his 2 front paws. That's too many legs. that's a very leggy dog. Jesus. Consult the star charts. 2 mana for an instant. It's got a kicker. Cool. Look at the top X cards for your library, where X is the number of lands you control. So 2 or 4 or more. Put one of those cards into your hand. If the spell was kicked, put 2 of those cards into your hand instead. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so this is either top 2, pick 1, or top 4, pick 2. I mean, this is okay, right? The issue with this being, again, it's just draw. Like, this doesn't protect you from anything. It doesn't make a creature doesn't do anything. You're just going to be still getting your ass beat, but with extra cards in your hand. This is what I mean. Blue likes touching its own cards, but it doesn't really do anything to other people's. I mean, I suppose there's usually, like, blue does have ways to tap you down. I have lost to blue removal in previous sets, even in the Final Fantasy set. We went up against that guy that was using the Sky Whale to kick my teeth in, and then playing everything off the top of his deck and getting it all exactly the order that he needed it. Which was a little bit frustrating. But, like, this is just, like, draw some cards, cool. I'm still going to kick your head in. Like, I know drawing cards is the most powerful thing you can do in Magic, but, like, if you're just getting your ass beat and you don't draw one of the sweepers or something else that helps you survive, this doesn't do anything. I'm always a bit down on blue. Cryogen Relic. 2 mana for an artifact. When it enters or leaves, draw a card. Sacrifice it, put a stun counter on up to 1 target tapped creature. Okay, so 2 mana, draw a card. And then another 2 mana, tap something down, or put a stun counter on something that's already tapped, and then draw another card. Sure. This is very fine. Cryo Shatter. 1 mana, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets -5/-0. When enchanted creature becomes tapped or is dealt damage, destroy it. Sure, this is blue's version of removal. This is actually pretty good, to be fair. Because it's a 1 mana, this creature can no longer attack, and if it ever tries to do anything, it just explodes. I don't hate that, actually, to be fair. As much as I usually say blue doesn't do anything, I guess this does actually do quite a lot for 1 mana. Desculpting Blast. Right. 2 mana for an instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If it was attacking, create a drone artifact creature token with flying. And this token can block only creatures with flying. I thought it was going to say this creature can only be blocked by creatures with flying. I was like, are we just ignoring reach completely nowadays? But no. Okay, so bounce and you get a guy? Sure. This is fine. Because you could maybe 2-for-1 someone with this, right? Because you just bounce a creature back to their hand, get the 1/1, bounce an attacking creature back to their hand, get a 1/1 that you could maybe use to block another creature, and kill it if it's got 1 toughness, which maybe. But yeah, so this is better than. Oh, but it can only block creatures with flying. We haven't seen a single 1 toughness flyer. Apart from this. Okay, maybe not quite as good. I mean, it's 2 mana, bounce, and you get a dude out of it. I can't hate this card. This card is fine. Divert Disaster. 2 mana, counter something, unless they pay 2. If they do, you get a lander token. Sure, counter spells are... My problem with counter spells in Limited is they either are fantastic or useless. There is no, again, it's one of those things, there's no in between. You either are countering exactly the cards you need, or you're countering on curve, or whatever. You are ahead because you have enough counters in hand to stop your opponent from playing anything, or your opponent has already got stuff on the board and you're like desperately trying to counter things while they beat the fuck out of you. Like, yeah, Emissary Escort is a 2 mana 0/4 that gets +X/+O, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. Sure. This very much depends on what artifacts you've got alongside it, but it's a 2 mana thick guy, so maybe this is just good enough. I don't think so, but sure. Giga Storm Titan is a 5 mana 4/4, or it's a 2 mana 4/4 if you've cast another spell this turn. This is actually pretty good. Right? Because you can cast warp things for cheap and then just vomit this out. Like, white had like 1 or 2 mana warp stuff. So this could be like, at most, yeah, even if you like, because you warp, get the effect of the warp creature, and then play this for a reduced cost. This is pretty good. I think specifically if you're like doing the 2 spells a turn thing, or if you'll just have a bunch of cheap stuff, you can just play this out after something. Yeah, I think this is actually one of the better blue cards that I've seen. Just in a limited format because it's just a cheap 4/4, usually. Ilvoy Galeblade is a 1 mana flash flying jellyfish that you can tap to sacrifice, draw a card. This is probably good. You probably just play this turn 1, get a couple of free bits of damage in, and then sacrifice it later and draw a card. This is actually a decent blue card. Ilvoy Infiltrator. 3 mana for a 1/3. Can't be blocked if you've cast 2 or more spells. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Again, this is probably pretty good as long as you can maintain playing 2 spells a turn. Which hopefully you can. It seems like blue and white both want you to be playing 2 spells a turn. So maybe there's like a cheap blue and white double spell deck that I haven't seen yet. Or 2 spells a turn deck. And this is pretty good, because if you can give it the can't be blocked and hit your opponent, you get to draw an extra card, because if you're going to play 2 cards a turn, you're going to need to be able to draw at least 2 cards a turn, right? And this just helps you get towards that point. Ilvoy Lightjammer is a 2 mana flash artifact. When it enters, attach it to target creature you control, it gains hexproof. Oh, so it's protection. And then equipped creature gets +1/+2. Yeah, I think I like this artifact as well. Good protection artifact, and then does give reasonably relevant stats afterwards. I don't hate this as much as I usually hate other things, because it gives hexproof. I mean, I'll hate it when it's played against me, but I wouldn't hate to have it in my deck. Ilvoy Operative is a 2 mana 2/1. Whenever you cast your second spell, put a +1/+1 counter. Okay. Again, if you're doing 2 spells, that's good. Like, you need a way to maintain 2 spells a turn realistically, but if you can do that, this guy just grows steadily, and that's kind of what you need in draft. Lost in Space, 4 mana, put target artifact or creature's owner puts it their choice on top of the bottom of their library, surveil 1. These cards are never as good as you think they are. They only deal with a creature for a turn, so meh. But I mean, this is kind of like blue removal, so meh. Mechan Assembler. A 5 mana 4/4. Whenever another artifact you control enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Why only once each turn? Come on. I suppose just so you can't vomit out a million artifacts and then just fill the board. Oh, because it would trigger off itself. I'm an idiot. That's why. Because or else it would just go infinite with itself. Okay, sure. This is okay. It's a bit expensive. Like, you play this for 5, and if your opponent just blows it up and you don't get the trigger, you're kind of depressed. But if you get like a turn or 2 of this being around and you can play a bunch of artifacts, this is going to be really good. Or you can play at least an artifact a turn. This is going to be really good. The issue is, can you do that? Mechan Navigator. 2 mana for a 2/1. When this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, discard a card. Yeah, sure. There's usually at least one of these in blue per set, and it's generally pretty good. Especially because the station mechanic in this one, so you don't have to be attacking with this creature. You can just tap through spaceships and stuff. Mechan Shieldmate. 2 mana, 3/2 defender. As long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, this creature can attack as though it didn't have defender. This is fine. This is just a good early creature that you can have on the field to try and stop the other colors beating your head in too quickly. I don't hate this. Mechanozoa, I think. Is a 6 mana 5/5. When this creature enters, tap target artifact creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it, and you can warp it for 3. So this is 3 mana, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. And then 6 mana, here's my 5/5 that does it again. Pricey, but maybe playable. I don't know how excited I'd be to have one of the, like, more than one of these in my deck, but I think one of them's fine. I think this is just fine. Also, it's a robot jellyfish. That is cool. Mental Modulation. 2 mana instant, cost 1 less to cast during your turn. Okay. Tap target artifact creature, draw a card. So you're probably never playing this in your own turn. But it does let you draw a card. It does replace itself. So again, this is fine. This is just a fine card. Is that Memnon? Isn't Memnon the guy that used to steal every artifact ever in existence and make people very sad? Is that Memnon? Is that the same Memnon? Give me a second. I'm going to have to search this up. So everyone's talking about this guy. What's the old Memnon that used to steal artifacts? Yeah, how did you spell it? Oh no, Memnarch. That's the fucking one, right? Is it Memnarch? Target artifact. Target permanent becomes an artifact. Gain control of target artifact. Okay. So this is Memnon, not Memnarch. Okay, my bad. Getting my cards confused. So he's a 5 mana 3/4 flyer. God, everything in this set has flying. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast artifact spells from the top of your library. Artifacts you control have tap, add blue, spend this mana only to cast spells from anywhere other than your hand. Again, this is similar to the whale that was in the dream whale that was in the Final Fantasy set. When I looked at it, I thought, this is kind of crap, right? Like, there's no way you can make this work. And then I played up against it, and someone absolutely fucking annihilated me with it. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, you're a 5 mana 3/4 flyer, so you lose to almost everything on the board. You can look at the top card, and you can play artifact spells from the top of your library, which only matters if you're playing a full artifact deck, which in Limited probably isn't happening. But you can just, if you have artifacts already on the battlefield, you can just keep vomiting cards from the top of your library until you hit a land, which could be insane. So I'm going to say I wouldn't play this card, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't play this card in Limited. Like, if this was my Limited bomb, I would be depressed. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily awful. It just means I wouldn't play. Moonlit Meditation. 3 mana for an enchantment. You can enchant an artifact or creature you control. The first time you would create 1 or more tokens each turn. You may instead create that many tokens that are copies of enchanted permanent. Oh. Is that crazy? That might be crazy. Because, like, you put that on Mechan Assembler, right? And it'll just do itself. Because, like, if you put this on the Mechan Assembler and then play an artifact, the token comes in as a copy of Mechan Assembler. But it doesn't I suppose it doesn't trigger itself, but then you would have a steadily growing army of Mechan. I mean, I suppose you could do that anyway. Like, this is probably good. It is a lot of investment. This is turn 3, pay 3, do nothing, probably. But it could win you the game. Again, I'm kind of iffy about stuff like this, because other cards, other colors just get cards that win them the game outright when you play them. This doesn't win you the game outright when you play it, but it can certainly be used to copy something that will win you the game. You just have to have that something already out, and then it has to not be targeted by your opponent. So I'm not really sure. And then they can always play the stupid white card that just exiles everything and makes you cry. So, sure. Mouth of the Storm. 7 mana, 6/6 flyer with Ward 2, and when it enters, creatures your opponents control get -3, -0 until end of until your next turn. Sure, it's a big flyer. You probably take at least one of these if you see it, and just say, this is my top end. It is a big flyer. That means I can't get attacked realistically the turn it's played, and it's a big scary flyer. Nanoform Sentinel. 3 mana for a 3/2. When it becomes tapped, untap another target permanent. Only once each turn. Sure. This is probably better than I'm giving it credit for, but like, you can use this to untap lands or other creatures, or I mean, you can use it to untap anything, and maybe that's really good. Especially if you're using this to cruise stations, but I'm just kind of Quantum Riddler, okay, is a 5 mana 4/6 flying sphinx, and when it enters, draw a card. Okay, as long as you have one or fewer cards in hand, if you would draw one or more cards, you draw that many cards plus 1 instead. And you can warp it for 2. I mean, this is 2 mana, draw a card. Not great, but not terrible. And then 5 mana, here's my flying 4/6 that lets me draw another card. And now that my hand is getting low because it's turn 5 or 6 and we've been playing for a while, I now get to draw 2 cards a turn as long as I play them. Because as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, you get to draw an extra card. So if you're playing 2 spells a turn, you play 2 spells, you've got 0 spells in hand, your next turn this draws you 2, and then hopefully they're both spells, you can play both spells, you can do all of your effects, and then next turn you get to draw 2. Like, this is pretty good, I think, this is pretty good in general. It's a big flyer, although this set has a lot of flyers, so I don't know how much that's actually going to matter. But it's a big flyer that draws you a card and then gets you to draw extra cards. Yeah, this is good. This is just very good. Scour for Scrap. 4 mana, 4 mana instant, choose one or both. Search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Or return target artifact card from the graveyard to your hand. Again, depends on what artifacts you're getting. Maybe this is really good. I think in draft it's too slow. But perhaps if you're getting specifically a really important artifact back. Self-Craft Mechan. A 4 mana 3/4. When this creature enters, you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and draw a card. Okay. Sacrifice one of your early crappy things. Put a +1/+1 counter on something else. Draw a card. I mean, the draw a card part is the part you give a shit about, right? So yeah, this is fine. Sinister Cryologist, the Jellyfish Wizard. Okay. A 3 mana 2/3. When it enters, target creature and opponent control gets -3/-0, and you can warp it. Very fine. Very meh. Like, this doesn't get me jumping out of my seat excited. It doesn't upset me either. It's very non-offensive and just okay. I'd probably take one of these and be okay with it. It's just fine. Specimen Freighter is a 6 mana spacecraft. When it enters, return up to 2 target non-spacecraft creatures to their owner's hand. Okay, that's actually pretty good. And if you can get it to a 9, it's a flying 4/7, and when it attacks, it makes defending player mill 4 cards. So this is 6 mana, bounce 2 things on your opponent's side of the field, probably. And then if you can get it there, it's a decent game-winning threat. Sure. I think this is pretty good, actually, because I like the first part of this. I like the bounce 2 cards. The question is that good enough on turn 6? Possibly. But I think Station is really slow. I still don't think... I mean, maybe if you bounce your opponent's 2 biggest creatures, and then you can use your 2 biggest creatures, or just a couple of small creatures to, you know, turn this into a creature. Then it can block. Stations, I mean... By the time you're playing this, you might have enough power to just immediately turn it into a creature, but it's hard to know. I really can't be sure. It's an artifact, which triggers some of the artifact synergy stuff, so maybe it's better in blue than I'm giving it credit for. Star Breach Whale. Hey, here's the big whale that everyone was like, oh, that's a really pretty... I do like... This art is fantastic. 5 mana for a 3/5 flyer, and when it enters, surveil 2, and you can warp it. Very generically okay. I think this is kind of fine. It's nothing exciting, nothing terrible, it's just kind of meh. Starfield Vocalist is a 4 mana 3/4. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability... Okay, so it's Panharmonicon, is that right? I think Panharmonicon is this. And you can warp it for 2. This is probably pretty good, actually. Like, I can't throw shade at this. This is probably pretty good. Because you can, like, warp this in and then play some other things and get the multiple enter the battlefield effects. And then bring this back later and your opponent has to remove it or else they're probably just screwed. Yeah, this is probably really good, actually. Especially for 2 mana. This is probably really good. Starwinder is a 7 mana 7/7. When a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards, and you can warp it for 4. This is another good one, I think. First, mostly because I like that it's huge. It's a 7 mana 7/7, but even warping it in for 4, you get a few good hits in. You just get to draw like a bunch of cards. Your opponent's probably just losing immediately because you have so many extra cards. And then you can always play this later as just a fat 7/7. Yeah, I like this card. Steel Swarm Operator. 2 mana, 1/1 flyer. You can tap it to add blue to cast artifact spells, or tap it to add 2 blue to activate abilities from artifact sources. Have we seen any artifacts with activated abilities? You're not an artifact. Not really, right? Like, not really. But, God, we went far back. Sure, maybe this is really good. It's hard. I mean, it's a 2 mana 1/1 flyer. You probably just play it anyway, and then maybe it's good. I don't know. I'd have to actually play with it to figure that one out. So, Synthesizer Lab Ship, a 1 mana spacecraft. Okay. And at +2, at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2/2 and gains flying. That's pretty good. And then if you can get it to 9, it becomes a 4/4 flying vigilance creature. Honestly, I probably wouldn't even get it to 9. I'd probably get it to like 8. And then, or like 7 or 8, and then just leave it there and have it keep making guys or turning things into guys every turn. And then only if like there was a sweeper or something that went off, would I be like, okay, now I'm going to play a creature, turn this into a flying 4/4 vigilancer and start beating your ass. Because, like, when it's not a creature, there's going to be a lot less... When it's just an artifact, not a creature, there's going to be a lot less things that can target it. But this is actually pretty good as long as you have artifacts that you can make into 2/2 flyers every turn. Yeah, I don't hate this. I do not hate this at all. I think this is actually pretty fucking good. Tractor Beam. 4 mana. Enchant creature or spacecraft. Tap it. You control and it doesn't untap. Sure. Slightly too expensive. Usually want to be paying 3 mana for this. For tap and doesn't untap. But, I mean, you get to control it, which I guess might matter. Probably not, but hey. It also looks very cool. I like the tractor beam effect. That is looks kind of sick. Unravel. Counter. Sure. If the amount of mana spent to cast the spell was less than its mana... Wait. Counter target spell. If the amount of mana spent to cast that spell was less than its... Oh. So... Counter target spell if you countered a warp spell. Draw a card, essentially. Is it how that reads? Okay, sure. It's a counter spell. It's, again, one of those things. I don't really care for counter spells because they're either absolutely fantastic, you cripple your opponent, win the game, or completely worthless and your opponent's just beating your ass, and they're just sit in your hand and do nothing. So yeah. Is that the last blue card? No. Uthros Jesus. Scientist? Uthros Scientist? 3 mana for a 2/4. The second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. If you're playing the 2 spells, you're kind of going to want at least one of these, if not 2. Yes, this card's really good if you're playing the 2 spell thing. I can't believe there's more blue cards. Yeah, this is good for the 2. I mean, to be fair, this is probably just good. Your second spell costs 2 less. You kind of desperately want that in the 2 spell deck. I think in other decks, it's still really good because you can just get more things out cheap. I think in limited, this is just a good effect. Uthros Scanship is a 4 mana spacecraft. When it enters, draw 2 cards and discard a card. Sure, not great, but fine. And if you can get it to +8, it is a 4/4 flyer. Sure, again, I think Station's a bit slow and this doesn't have... It's just a 4/4 flyer, but maybe that's fine. Maybe all these uncommon spacecrafts are just going to be kind of like, eh. But sure, whatever. What the fuck is it? Weft Walking. A 6 mana enchantment. Okay. When this enchantment enters, if you cast it, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, then draw 7. The first spell each player casts during each of their turns may be cast without paying its mana cost. So, this is like baby omniscience, but for both players? But you get 7. This is weird. If you're playing this in limited, you better be damn sure you have the better bomb, right? You better have looked through your opponent's deck before you play. Like, you better know their best card is a 4 mana prayer, right? Because if you're giving your opponents a free spell, either you have to be countering it, or you have to know that it's not as good as your free spell. And if you can't be sure of that, I don't know if you can play this card unlimited. This might be an interesting card. I mean, I'm worried that we might see this in sort of Standard and Commander. Oh, well, maybe not Commander, because I don't play that much Commander. But in Standard, maybe we'll see this as just like cheaper Omniscience combo, because they're going to play this with Omniscience, and then just play this and then play the Omniscience as their free card, and then just play everything for free. Because then their entire hand is free forever, and you get 1 free spell a turn, but they get, when this is played, and they play the Omniscience for free, on the following turn, 7 free spells a turn? So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how this, if this actually turns up, or whether it's just kind of crap. Hey, we're on to black. What did I think of blue? I didn't hate blue as much as I think I usually do. They've got some fighty cards. Like, they have some cards, specifically a lot of the like artifact stuff. Generally seems like it's going to be trying to put artifacts on the field and actually killing you. And even their like bigger like game-winning cards, like this Sphinx and this Leviathan, they're actually like big, rather than just being like, you know, incremental value engines that will eventually lead your opponent to concede because they can't be bothered anymore. Which is what a lot of blue stuff kind of used sometimes is. But I like their rare spacecraft. I think this is good and cool. I like the Star Walker. I like the Quantum Riddler. I like a lot of the robot stuff that's going on, like the robot artificer and things. Even the jellyfish guys are like, yeah, we want you to be casting multiple spells a turn, but also like hitting people usually, right? So I think I'm okay with blue. I think I don't hate it as much as I usually would. Maybe I'll even try playing some blue when we actually draft this on stream. But we'd need to get something that draws my attention first. So now we're moving on to black.